of the key players in the continuing doom and gloom surrounding the euro is the European Central Bank. What exactly is its role? Did it contribute to the crisis? And does it have any ideas for getting us out of the mess? On iTalk today, the former president of the ECB, Jean-Claude Trichet, who's with us duplex, as you can see, with the Eiffel Tower from Paris. Mr. Trichet, hello, welcome to iTalk.
Hello, thank you for your invitation.
Quick questions, quick answers, and we have quite a personal question from Clara to start.
I'm Clara from Brussels, and I wonder if, as the ex-president of the European Central Bank, you feel responsible for the crisis.
You were one of the leading figures, Mr. Trichet. Do you feel any sense of personal responsibility?
I think that, of course, when you have an important responsibility, you have to be up to the responsibility permanently. As you know, we were and we are extremely faithful to our mandate, delivering price stability, which is a condition, but not a sufficient condition, but a necessary condition for financial stability. And I have to say that we had to cope with a global crisis. The ECB was the first to respond immediately by non-standard measures, very bold non-standard measures, but never forgetting that the primary mandate is price stability.
Was it a problem of communication? Perhaps the ECB didn't make its point clearly enough to the people of Europe and to governments?
Well, I don't think so, frankly speaking. We were very, very loud and clear on the fact that one had to respect the Stability and Growth Pact. We had a conflict with several governments, including the biggest government in Europe in 2003 and 2004. We also stressed permanently that it was absolutely necessary to monitor very, very closely the competitive indicators. And I could list a number of episodes where we had very, very big problems with governments, to be absolutely clear.
We now have a question from a Czech viewer for Jean-Claude Trichet.
How indebted European countries can ever get their finances right when, in the spirit of the neoliberal dogma, they are asked to adopt stringent austerity measures that greatly decrease their revenues? Is it not true that with privatizations, deregulations, and low corporate taxation, public budgets are deprived of key resources of their income and thus led further down into the vicious spiral of debt?
We do seem to have changed gear, Mr. Trichet. Before it was austerity, austerity. Now, all of a sudden, it's growth. Europeans are confused. What do you say?
No, I would say that there is no confusion there. When you are as sound and reasonable as possible for your budget and for your competitiveness, you are going through the difficulty of the time very, very well. The countries in the advanced economies that behaved the most properly in the past, before the crisis, have done remarkably well. I could quote Germany, inside the euro area, which has diminished its unemployment over the crisis, because it had a very good position as regards the fiscal policies and also a very good position as regards competitive policies, not by chance, but because hard work had been done. And I could also pick up, for instance, Canada, which behaved extremely properly since the crisis erupted, despite the fact that they are very close to the US, which was the epicenter of the start of the crisis. And it is, again, because they behaved extremely properly in their macro policies, in their fiscal policies.
OK, perhaps we can persuade the Canadians to help us out in the euro crisis. Let's have another question on iTalk.
Sono italiano.
I'm Italian. I'm a union member in the transport sector. And I'd like to know why, at European level, they didn't help countries to solve their debt problems by issuing Eurobonds. Thank you.
Eurobonds.
Yes. Well, I would say we have to know exactly what we are talking about. There are already Eurobonds, the bonds which are issued by the EFSF, tomorrow by the ESM, the Stabilization Fund. These are Eurobonds, and they might be very, very useful. You have also the other extreme, which would be Eurobonds issued jointly and severally by all treasuries of the euro area. That, of course, supposes that we have already a full-fledged political federation, a full-fledged federal budget, which would be encompassing all national budget. And that supposes extremely bold jump of the European unity, the political European unity.
OK, let's have another question for Jean-Claude Trichet here on Euronews.
Bonjour, Pascal de Bruxelles.
I'm Pascal from Brussels, and I'd simply like to know why we're paying or want to pay money to people in the south of Europe where bad policies have been followed by their leaders for many years. Thank you.
Pendant des années. Merci.
It's always this question of responsibility and whose fault it was that we got into this mess.
Yeah, well, of course, it goes without saying that the bad policies that have been pursued are not policies that have been decided directly by the people of the various countries, but by their executive branch, their leaders, of course. That goes without saying. That being said, they were elected leaders, and they had the confidence of the people. So you have an interaction in our democracies, and very fortunately, the 17 countries are exemplary democracies. So when mistakes have been made in the past, when the, I would say, budget has been very, very poorly managed, when the current account of the country had been negative and more negative and even more negative, when the unit labor cost had jumped up very, very rapidly in order to, very unfortunately, put the country in a non-competitive position, all this has to be corrected. And, of course, it is the full body of the country which has to correct. But I would say it's a collective effort. Everybody has to make the collective effort to repair the damage. In any case, when you are asking the rest of the world to finance yourself because you're spending much more than you earn, at a certain moment it stops, and you have to spend no more than you earn. That's true for, I would say, the household, and it is also true for the countries. And it is something which is common sense. Of course, it has to be devised correctly. It has to be done in an appropriate fashion. It has to be, I would say, helped, if needed, by the international community, by the Europeans themselves. But the ultimate goal is you cannot spend eternally more than you earn.
OK, let's have one final question for Jean-Claude Trichet here on iTalk.
Hello, this is Luis Torrent from Barcelona. I'm editor-in-chief at United Explanations. My question is, how do you see the European Union in 10 years' time from now, once the financial crisis is hopefully over? Do you think we will have a stronger, more united and more competitive European Union, or will we face the beginning of an European disunion?
From your vast experience, Jean-Claude Trichet, a very brief answer about the future of Europe.
First, I really trust that we have not only a European problem, but a problem in all advanced economy. Second, I am very confident that we will implement all what has been decided already, the six packs, and the reinforcement of the monitoring of macro policies and, of course, of fiscal policies. And then I really trust that we have to go further and make a significant progress in the direction of a European economic and fiscal federation. I am confident, but the history is not written. It's hard work to be done by the European.
Jean-Claude Trichet, thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. You can keep sending them in. See you next time for another iTalk here from the European Parliament in Brussels. Thanks very much to the audiovisual services. See you soon.